Hello, I'm Marty Radovanek.
And I'm Jen Johnson. Happy New Year. Over the next hour, we're going to be taking a look back at something special 6 News did over the summer. Many of you will probably remember our project that covered 10 weeks this summer.
We called it Your Town, and every Friday from the end of May through early August, we visited a town in our viewing area.
From Johnstown to Somerset, Du Bois to State College, and 6 others in between. We came out, set up our equipment, and broadcast a live special half hour every Friday from each of our 10 towns. Now, looking forward to 2015, throughout this broadcast, we're going to tell you which towns we'll be visiting this coming summer. And only a few short months away, right, Mart?
But now we're going to take a look back. And we started Friday, May 30th in Johnstown. The city of Johnstown is, of course, famed for the several floods over the years. One in 1889, one in 1936, and 1977. But do you know how Johnstown got its name? A good place to go and learn more about the city in Cambria County is the Johnstown Area Heritage Association, which is where we went to learn about how Johnstown came to be. The area of modern-day Johnstown is nestled in a valley where the Little Conemaugh and Stony Creek rivers come together to create the Conemaugh, a waterway that goes west and links up to the rivers of the Pittsburgh area.
In the springtime, when the waters were high, you could float goods on rafts down to Pittsburgh and beyond. They take iron ore made over in Blair County and other heavy cargoes, including timber. You know, it's a frontier economy.
It's that river transportation that made the location appealing to a German settler, Joseph Schanz, who later Americanized his last name to Johns. He bought the land and plotted out a village in 1800. He named it Conemaugh Old Town. He had hoped his town would grow and prosper, making his money by selling land to businesses and settlers. Many of the streets and locations for parks today were in John's original plans. He believed that the county seat for the newly formed Cambria County would be here, adding to the value of his town, but it ended up in Ebensburg.
It didn't work out like he planned. It was slow to grow, and it wasn't until the canal came through that his town finally took off, you know, long after his death.
Johns returned to farming in Davidsville, but the town did boom when the Pennsylvania Canal in 1834 used these rivers to link up with the Allegheny Portage Railroad. Now, people and goods going back and forth from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia passed through here. The town was chartered and named Johnstown. The natural resources, iron, ore, and coal, had new markets to the east and west. By 1850, the original sleepy little town of 200 people topped 4,000, and the canal was replaced by the Pennsylvania Railroad.
1854, they had, you know, you could cross the state in 18 hours rather than the 3.5 days it took by canal, and it put the canal out of business very, very quickly.
The railroad just helped to fuel the growth of Johnstown. Along with the abundance of coal, steel companies saw potential here. In 1854, Cambria Iron Company opens and the city takes off, doubling its population every decade well into the 1900s. Immigrants from all over the world saw potential for themselves in Johnstown as well. The melting pot of America could be seen on these streets.
When immigrants came here, the good life was wearing American clothes, owning your house, eating better, and they achieved that.
Throughout history, the city's success and wealth reflected the country's economy of the time. As the country went, so went Johnstown. In the 1980s, as the steel industry declined, the area had to find new businesses to keep people working.
There are defense industries here, the hospital, the medical industry, has expanded dramatically. It's still a regional center for banking, trails, and whitewater rafting. So, tourism is part of the diversification.
It's no secret that the population of the area is currently decreasing. The younger generation's moving away to find good jobs. The current leaders are working together to stop that trend. But in the end, it's the people that will help keep Johnstown's spirit moving on.
I think in Johnstown, all this time later, you still see that, tenacity and hard work and dedication. It's part of the character of people here in western Pennsylvania and in Johnstown in particular.
And if you want to learn more about the history of the area, you and your family should visit the Heritage Discovery Center, which is on Broad Street.
When you think of Johnstown, you might not think the city holds a world record, but It is home to the world's steepest incline, and it's been here for more than a century. The historic landmark has graced Yoder Hill since 1891. It was originally built as a means of transportation from downtown Johnstown to the then developing community of Westmont. It continues to operate today with a 16-foot wheel and a 2-inch steel cable that raises and lowers the cars on a vertical railroad track, a track that is almost 900 feet long. But since the fall of the steel industry, ridership has fallen from almost 1 million to just about 100,000 a year.
To be honest with you, I see the future as being what it has been in the past, a tourist destination, but also as a commuter service. We're a viable option for the commuter base here in Johnstown. So public transportation, is definitely in the future for the incline plane, as well as the tourists. We host a bunch of people from all over the U.S., all over the world, and to get them in here, share the story of the incline plane, and and really grow the tourism base in Johnstown is what the future, I believe, is of the incline plane.
Even though the inclined plane is closed for the month of January, you'll be able to catch a ride one way for just $6 on weekends in February and March. Then it opens for its normal operating hours beginning in April.
And the week after Johnstown, we made our way to Altoona, and one of the first things you see when you drive into that city is this giant American flag.
Locals call it the Gospel Hill flag because it's on Gospel Hill. The flag, as you can see, is massive, measuring 30 by 60 feet. The flag pole is the second tallest structure in all of Altoona. The tallest is the Cathedral of the Blessed Sacrament, which is just a few steps away.
There are many things that make up the people and the city of Altoona, and one of which is the Horseshoe Curve. With Altoona being an old railroad town, the curve is one of the most recognizable landmarks of the region. As a matter of fact, without the trains, it might be rather difficult to find the city on a map. A group of 450 Irishmen took on the project of building the historic horseshoe-shaped curve in the railroad tracks way back in 1852. It took them 2 years to finish. The curator for the Curve Museum says when it was built, it was one of the top 10 engineering marvels of the world.
The national pastime alive and well in Altoona. Many people from near and far head out to cheer on the Altoona Curve.
People's Natural Gas Field is where Curve fans go to watch some minor league baseball. Baseball is a game of dreams, one that Altoona's own Bob Lozniak knew would be a success when he dreamt and worked hard to bring a professional ball club to his hometown in the late 90s, selling tickets even before he had a team name or place to play.
And we're doing very well with it already, so, as that stadium starts going up, that's when the real enthusiasm will really begin to grow for it.
And grow it did. From that March day in 1998, when ground was broken on the Blair County Ballpark, now People's Natural Gas Field, to when the Eastern League franchise was officially named the Altoona Curve, paying homage to the city's deep railroading roots. The team has become a strong part of the community fabric.
Ever since the Curve came in 1999, they've really done a good job being available to civic groups and school groups and even just people in general.
Linda has been a season ticket holder since day one and even opened her home to Curve players for 8 years. She says what bonds the team to the community is that you get to interact so closely with the players.
It's really exciting because you get to know them as people rather than just players. You get to meet their family and friends and learn about their background and their private interests outside the baseball field.
Ask the players, though, and they'll tell you it's the other way around.
Well, I think the community has an impact on us more than anything because they come out, they support us, they cheer for us, they root for us, and without them, we wouldn't have a team here.
The community takes us in, like we're kind of part of the family, we're an extension of them, so I'd say it works both ways.
Ken and Justin are most likely just passing through Altoona, hoping to move on to their dream of a career in the big leagues. But they say that's why they take time to give back.
All of us as baseball players did that when we were a kid. We looked for those things from professional baseball players like us. We looked to get a clinic or a camp or something like that in when we were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old because this was our dream.
That dream is one that many others have had while playing with the Curve, eventually getting that chance with the big club. Players like the Pirates' Andrew McCutcheon, who worked his way through the organization to become an MVP. But even he still remembers the passionate fans in Altoona.
Love the Curve there, and I love the team, and I love to go out and, whether it rain or sunshine, doesn't matter what it is, they're going to be out there watching the game. So it was always a good time to be able to go out.
The current players say that passion for baseball comes straight from how the city takes care of business.
I see a blue-collar kind of community that, they take pride in their hard work and what they do for a living, and then they take pride in what the community is about.
And the fans don't lose sight of how the players feel about them either.
And we have a saying in the Booster Club, we always tell the guys, once you're a curve guy, you're always a curve guy. And wherever you go, we're going to follow your career.
And there are many curve players to follow in Pittsburgh. Besides Andrew McCutchen, some other notables are Neil Walker, Josh Harrison, and Garrett Cole, among others.
Now, right behind PNG Field is Lakemont Park, where you can find a National Historic Landmark. It's the oldest operating roller coaster in the United States. It's called Leap the Dips. Now, the ride was built in 1902 at 41 feet high. The steepest drop is 9 feet, and it has a top speed of 10 miles per hour. So while it might not be the most exciting roller coaster you'll get on, people want to ride it because of its history.
We've had people from all 50 states and a few from other countries that have come just for this. We do get people that just see it on the highway and they just stop in just for this ride.
Dips actually closed in the mid-1980s and didn't ride again, or actually run again, for over a decade, when it was fully restored to original form and began operations again in 1999. Now, another thing unique to Altoona is the Boyer Candy Company and the Mallow Cup. If you're describing one, you might say it's sort of like a Reese's peanut butter cup, only with marshmallow fluff instead of peanut butter. As a matter of fact, the candy got its start in the early 1920s in Emily Boyer's basement and is older than the Reese's peanut butter cups. Now up to 2 million Mallow Cups are made every day. These candies are shipped all over the world.
As we go to break, we're going to reveal some of the towns we'll be highlighting in the summer of 2015. As we just saw with Johnstown and Altoona, we want to highlight the people and things that make your town. So here we go. This summer, we'll be visiting the communities of Richland Township, Hollidaysburg. And when we come back, we'll take a trip a little further north to Du Bois. There was one phrase we got used to around here. It was all summer long.
That's
because we featured your town, 10 towns in 10 weeks from all over the viewing area.
And we can tell you we're going to do it again all summer long this summer. And as we go throughout this special broadcast, we're ready to reveal the towns we selected to highlight in 2015. But now we're going to travel northward to Du Bois and revisit some of the history that makes the city and Clearfield County so special.
And we were there on a chilly Friday back in June. Remember, we were wearing hoodies during the Community Days Festival.
I sure do, Marty. The city of Du Bois has just over 3 square miles of land. It's not very big, but protecting the small town is something that's not taken lightly. There are 5 volunteer fire departments, all within walking distance of each other.
Why so many? Well, it is a tough lesson the city learned the hard way. In 1888, just about the entire town burned.
It started down by the train station, and the fire was actually going up the hill, going west. And then the wind shifted and brought it back east towards town.
A huge fire, swallowing everything in its path. At the time, the entire city was made of wood, the buildings, sidewalks, and streets. Easy fuel for the raging inferno. There was no such thing as a volunteer fire department at the time, so folks tried their best to put it out themselves.
When they ran out of water and the pipes were broken and the pumps were broken. They tried bucket brigades, but that didn't work.
The nearby town of Renovo had fire equipment handy, but it didn't arrive for hours. By the time it did, just about everything was destroyed. Out of 166 buildings and businesses in town, just 6 survived. Banks burned and money melted. This wall, now standing inside the Du Bois Historical Society, one of the few things that made it through the flames.
John E. Du Bois at the time said it would not happen again.
So the first fire departments were built, and there was an ordinance passed that banned buildings from being made of wood. New construction strictly was to be made of brick or stone. Now, the official cause of that fire still not known to this day. One of the more popular legends is that it started with a woman cooking in her kitchen, and the fire quickly spread out of control.
DuBois is home to many mom and pop shops. If you take a stroll through the downtown area, you'll find just about anything you can imagine. And one of the most famous stops is a little restaurant called Luigi's. And while you're sure to find good eats, there's a lot more to the story. Luigi's started as a small family eatery in Indiana County, and business exploded. So the owner opened a second location in DuBois. There are hundreds of photos all over the walls inside, about 618 photos to be exact, and each has an important story to tell.
It's just amazing to me how many memories are on these walls. People come in and they'll say, I heard my grandma's pictures on the wall, you know. Or we had a couple come in from Ohio one time, and they sat down. We have 59 tables, and they sat down at one table, and right beside their table was their granddaughter who goes to Duke. Because somehow we came into this picture, and they actually had tears in their eyes.
Eddie says people from all over the country come to DuBois to eat at Luigi's. It's easy to get to, just a short distance from I-80. Luigi's, though, is almost famous, just as famous for its philanthropy. It hosts a number of fundraisers throughout the year for local organizations.
And you'll see another picture when you go up there anytime
right.
soon. We are on the wall, and we're proud to be there.
Yes,
now
we
time
are.
to reveal another town we'll be visiting this summer for our 2015 version of Your Town. This summer, we're going back to DuBois.
And again this summer, we're going to feature the people and places of the town that make it so special. And so far, that makes Richland, Hollidaysburg, and DuBois. Next, we're going to be rolling down the tracks and into the past when we head to Brookville.
Welcome back. Next on our list of towns we visited over the summer was Jefferson County. In fact, Brookville has quite a history. It's one place you'll want to visit. There is the Jefferson County History Center.
There's lots of neat things to see in there, one of which is a special model train set that many can remember dating back to their childhood.
It was started and founded by Charlie Bowdish in Brookville, Pennsylvania in 1920.
And it quickly became a Christmas time tradition. Bowdish was a soldier in World War I, but was sent home because of health problems in 1920. His family encouraged him to cope with having to leave the boys behind by building.
The family invited other people and told other people, and those people told other people, and it just kept growing and growing.
By the late 20s, there were lines out the door of the Bowdish home, 75 people deep, waiting in the snow and the cold to get in.
When I saw it, when I was 5, it was only had the one room. They just had one room upstairs. But the next year, when I got to see it, when I was 6, there was 2 rooms that had been taken over.
It was something Charlie and Brookville became very proud of.
He kept like a map where he put push pins in from all the different areas of the country that people came from to visit. And school groups would come, and it became a huge holiday tradition to visit the Bowdish display in Brookville.
By the mid-50s, Bowdish was running out of space in Brookville and was looking for a bigger stage to show off his displays. So he packed up and took the model railroad to Pittsburgh's Buell Planetarium, opening in the winter of '54.
So it was open at the Buell Planetarium for the first time, December 1st to the end of December, and 23,000 people came to see it just the 1 month that it was open.
The display was called the Christmas Time Railroad at the Planetarium, but it was moved to the Carnegie Science Center in 1992 as the Miniature Railroad and Village. But the Bowdish touch hasn't been lost on the display, with local landmarks such as Gobbler's Knob, Richardsville Baptist Church, even the SS Grandview Ship Hotel from Bedford. The Jefferson County History Center was able to bring some Bowdish pieces back to Brookville in 2001, and now volunteers put on shows once a month.
People that had seen it when they were young were bringing their grandchildren now in to see it.
That's the impact Bowdish had on the community. as Bill McCracken, now in his 80s, still pictures what he saw as a little boy.
And he liked the kids. I don't know. He just would open up and he would take you around and show you all of these things that he had created. It probably done as much to make a model builder out of me as anything, because he just was so enthused and so energetic towards his hobby.
Next, we made the trip to my hometown, Ridgway. In Elk County, it is the northernmost town we visited this past summer. We were there just a little over a month after a flood caused major problems for the people who live there. And they say the cleanup was made easier because of the close-knit community they are.
This is a severe weather Team 6 special report.
We are breaking into programming right now because of extreme flooding in Elk County.
It was just over a month ago when Ridgway flooded again.
The town itself over the years has unfortunately been notorious for floods.
More than 3 inches of rain fell in a short amount of time. The Clarion River just couldn't handle it, and it spilled over its banks. Streets turned into raging streams. Businesses, homes damaged.
There's mud throughout the entire place. I don't know how bad the walk-in is. The bathrooms are flooded. Everything will have to be replaced.
The town stood still when Sheetz shut down, one of the only places you can get gas nearby. The water quickly receded, and this is when the true spirit of the people here was awakened.
It's not about being inside the church walls. It's about being active in the community and caring for the least of these and those that are in need.
Strangers rolled up their sleeves and put on their rain boots and got to work, hauling out what couldn't be saved and cleaning up what could. Just another flood, just another day. This is what it means to live in Ridgway.
Resilience, absolutely, because we have gone through, as you said, all these floods over all these different years have been a real problem to our community at times, but we've always bounced back from it.
The Clarion River reached its second highest recorded level ever during that storm.
And a Ridgway transplant became well known, and he came from farther away than anyone in the town. His name is Dr. Guillermo Adarbi, and he's been the town doc for a few decades now. 5 years ago, he decided he'd like to try something new, running the borough of Ridgway as mayor. He spent the better part of the past 2 decades restoring Ridgway to its former glory, purchasing 3 buildings that were set to be demolished and renovating them. He said the buildings he saved from the wrecking ball will be his legacy. And he said he doesn't have any plans to buy anything else.
Okay, it's time for the next town 6 News plans to go to in the summer of 2015.
We're going to head over to Bedford County. We'll be in Everett for a special this summer.
Looking back on our list of towns from the Your Town program we had over the past summer, we're now moving into the month of July.
And the community of Boalsburg next up on the list. We were there during the People's Choice Arts Festival. Now, even though it is a historic town, it also has a secret side.
Ghosts. Many claim haunt parts of the town, and those ghosts are the focus of our next story. Here's Aaron Calandra.
This place has a long history, a history that includes death, destruction, and the afterlife. It's gone through several owners. Tracy Moriarty and her husband took over in 2012.
Duffy's was built in 1819. It was originally called the Springfield Tavern because the town was called Springfield. Later on, the town was renamed Boalsburg to honor the Boal family, and this was renamed the Boalsburg Tavern. When the Duffys took over in about 1939, they named it Duffy's Boalsburg Tavern, and it just got shortened to Duffy's Tavern and remained Duffy's Tavern ever since.
Harry Duffy ran this tavern until he died in 1961, but some people say he's still here today.
Harry Duffy apparently died right here in the foyer, and there's been some interesting things that have happened here. We had 2 paranormal groups come in, and they had brand new equipment or fresh battery packs, and they set them up in the foyer, and they went to turn the equipment on, and the equipment automatically failed and the batteries automatically just died.
We were skeptical of this story when filming. Our gear appeared to be working just fine. But hear that buzzing? Well, that wasn't there when we were recording. It's not until we listened to our tape when we realized something was a little off. Harry Duffy, maybe?
The second paranormal group put a camera up here and filmed coming down the steps instead of going up the steps. And they saw an orb walk down the steps, or just come very slowly down the steps, very organized, look in both rooms down here, and come right back up the steps. So...
And was that Harry Duffy?
I have no idea, but some people seem to think so.
Here's video of that orb.
You'll see an orb come across. It does like a figure eight, a backflip.
According to John Carl, founder of Jabba Paranormal, there are 4 spirits haunting this place. 2 adult men, a young woman, and a 4-year-old boy named Michael. Michael stays in the gold room.
So what does Michael do in here?
That's hard to say. I mean, and where does he go? And what's the time reference? I don't know.
Has anyone ever seen Michael or felt Michael?
A lot of people have felt his presence or felt like a ghost presence in here, but maybe not specifically, because we didn't know and nobody else told us except for the paranormal groups. So a lot of people feel things here.
Some guests say they've more than felt things. They say they've seen things they can't explain with their own eyes.
People have been dining and the table has moved. They hear clinking of glasses. They've seen the waitress in the yellow dress.
The Jabba Paranormal Group says these spirits aren't here all the time, but when they are, you know it. And Tracy agrees.
I've seen a woman walking on the porch. There's footsteps upstairs. There's constant, closing of office doors or closing of this doors. Pepper mills knocked over and turned but moved away from where they should be.
She says her husband has actually seen a ghost.
He looked at the light and then he turned, and between the 2 windows he saw this big black figure walk out of the room.
On a scale of 1 through 10 when it comes to paranormal activity, where does Duffy's kind of sit on that scale?
At this point with our experience, I would give it a 8.
Jabba investigators say nothing here seems demonic. They say every experience here has been friendly in nature. And for those of you who are non-believers, they suggest you come here yourself.
Okay, time to reveal our next 2015 Your Town community. Over the summer, we're going to be in Bellefonte to showcase the people and places that make the county seat so unique.
Up next, 9 for 9. We'll take you back to when the miners came out alive in Somerset County as part of the Underground Railroad. Ties to the area, where and how we got there. Straight ahead.